been pretty busy running around France for the last few days. So I've been here since last Tuesday, and now it's Tuesday again, so I guess a week. Hold on, you look low, so I'm gonna bump you a little bit. So it's been a week here, and I spent the first few days at Anna's, and now I'm at Abby's, and I just broke 2 of my nails, so I'm gonna glue those back on while I chat. But it has been wonderful being here. It's great to see them. It's fun being in a different country. I have been to France before, but it was when I was maybe 12 years old, I think. So it's been a while, and this is a different experience because now I'm traveling with friends versus traveling with my family. But I don't really feel the need to do a ton of touristy stuff. So I'm just more hanging out with them and going with their schedule than like climbing the Eiffel Tower and stuff and going to museums and stuff. I was gonna go to a museum today, but the Louvre is closed on Tuesdays and the Musée d'Orsay is fully booked. And the catacombs are fully booked. So we tried for everything and it just did not work out. So I'm gonna go meet Abby in about an hour and a half. And I think we're probably gonna go get some lunch and then maybe chill in a cafe for a bit because she has to study. And then tonight we have a Zumba class for the 2 of us. So that'll be really fun. I've gone to a few workout classes with her. I went to Rumble with her twice. And then tonight we're going to that Zumba class. We wanted to do a burlesque class. We couldn't find one. And we wanted to do a pole dancing class, but we couldn't find one that fit in her schedule as well. Because she's still taking classes. She's in school. I've been getting around using the metro mostly. Anna was really helpful and got me a metro card on the first day that I was here. So I've just been using that to get around. And it expired today, so I think I'm gonna have to get like a day pass for the next 2 days because I'm leaving. Today's my second to last full day here, and then I'm leaving Thursday morning. But my card, sometimes when you have to tap it to get through the turnstiles, sometimes it thinks that you have to tap in and you have to tap out, but sometimes when I tap it, it double taps it, so it thinks that I went in and went out when I'm still in, so I get stuck. And I was at one turnstile, and this was the first time it happened, and I tapped it, thought it was gonna work, so I went to the turnstile and got stuck, and I was like, okay. And then this woman was behind me and she shoved me forward, and I was like, oh, I don't speak French. I was like, oh, sorry, like I'm just gonna tap it again, like tap it, let me try again. And I tapped it again, and I went again and it didn't work, and she shoves me again, like into the turnstile. I'm like, lady, like it's not working, like you can shove me as hard as you want, it's not gonna work. So like, I'm like, look, it's not tapping, and she's shoving me and shoving me, like she shoved me a good 4 times, so that eventually I'm just like getting shoved. I'm like, and then Anna had to take my card and go fix it. But yeah, I was like, I don't understand why you're shoving me. It's not working. You just go around. There's other turnstiles. I can't get back out. I can't leave because you're shoving me in. There's nowhere for me to go. So yeah, I just got shoved repeatedly, and I was just like, I have no idea what to do in this scenario. And Anna even stood there for like a few seconds just like, what is happening? I was like, it's not tapping and I'm getting shoved. Can we please save me in this situation? So yeah, after we figured that out, eventually the lady, after shoving me like a good 4 times, went around and used the next turnstile. I was like I know we don't speak the same language, but I feel like you could understand that my card is not tapping. I did watch the new season of Emily in Paris in preparation for my little trip here. And I did have a little Emily in Paris moment when I was in an elevator and I was up on the 10th floor and I was trying to get to I was up on the 8th floor and I was trying to get to the 1st floor. Or the bottom floor, not the 1st floor in France. So I hit number 1 and I immediately press it and I'm like, that's wrong. And there's like a ground floor button because here the ground floor is ground floor and the 2nd floor is the 1st floor. So like I pressed it and I just had immediate regret. And then I just clicked to the next one. So then this French man comes on and he's just like, oh, and he presses his button. And then he's probably assuming that I'm getting off at the 1st floor. And then another woman comes on a different floor. And so I'm like, oh, she won't know who pressed the wrong floor because there's 2 of us now. So we get to the 1st floor and the door opens and the man walks out. He goes, oh, this isn't the ground floor. Comes back in and we go down and everyone got off. So he kind of exposed me for messing up the buttons as the stupid American. I sent my friends that are studying abroad here the picture of me pressing the wrong button and they were like, oh, so embarrassing. I've embarrassed myself quite a bit here, but you know, you gotta embrace it. On one of my first few days here, my friends took me to Cafe Madeleine. Apparently there's like a whole square or street called Madeleine, so I'm famous, and I think it's the same cafe that my parents took me to when I was little the last time I was here, because it had a red awning, and the one that I went to had a red awning as well. So, and I don't know how many Cafe Madeleines there are, but it was fun to be there and to be with my friends. And as we're sitting there like having our wine and just like chilling after they got out of class, one of the waiters comes over and like pulls up a stool and sits down, like very aggressively, like we're in the conversation, he just pulls over a stool and sits down. Like he's like, okay girls, are you ready? And we're like all of us are. Anna looks confused. Abby and I are like, is he gonna do a magic trick? Like what's happening? And he's like, take off your shoes. And I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna take off my shoes. Abby starts to take off her shoes, and I was like, is she gonna take off her shoes? Like, is she really gonna take off her shoes? What is this? He's like, I'm gonna give you a foot massage. Just take off your shoes. And we're like, oh. We start laughing, and we're like, no thank you, no foot massage. I really think that his friends at the bar put him up to it just to see what would happen. But like, if he had shown up with a magic trick, I would have been very entertained, because Abby and I were both like, magic trick? I'd like to see a magic trick. And no, he just wanted to give us a foot massage, and I was like, I don't know about that. Abby and I went to this French restaurant, Pink Mama, I think it was what it's called. It was like on a rooftop. It was like a rooftop garden, like a greenhouse situation. Very pretty up there. And they had us like a spiral staircase that has like all glass windows and like a bunch of beautiful picture frames. So after we had dinner or after we had lunch and a lot of people had cleared out, we're like, oh, let's just go stand out in the hall on the stairs and take pictures because this is beautiful. So we're on the 4th floor taking our pictures. Like sometimes a waiter walks by, or sometimes a guest who's leaving walks by, and we're like, okay, like get out of their way, and then we go back to taking our pictures, you know, being the touristy 20-year-olds that we are. And as we're taking our pictures, I can see that there's this like French man down below waiting with his friends, standing on the sidewalk. I don't know, maybe they were waiting for a car or deciding where to go. But I can see that he's looking at us up in the window, so I kind of waved down, and he waved back up at me. And it was just a very cute little wholesome interaction. I just wanted to say hi to the French man. But also, he was staring at me, but I'm sure we were making a fool of ourselves, and he could see that through the windows all the way up on the 4th floor, and that's why he was like, what are these girls doing? And I was like, hello, Mr. French man. I see that you're staring at us. We got cute pictures though. It was worth it. Last Friday, I think, Abby and I tried to go to Versailles. Keyword tried. So in the morning, she had a doctor's appointment. And I was like, that's fine, like go to your doctor's appointment, I'll pick you up afterwards, and we can take the train together to Versailles. We had a great plan going. So apparently in France, their doctor's offices just take a really long time. Like you get there at, say her appointment was at 10. She didn't leave until 12:30, and she was just going for like a regular checkup, like nothing major, but she did have to get her blood drawn, and she's afraid of needles and like hates it. So she's waiting super long, and when they take her blood, she faints, and then they don't even like sit her down, like check that she's okay. Like as soon as they're done drinking them out, they're like, okay, like go wait in the other room and like continue on with your checkup. So like, I don't know, I feel like if you faint in America, they're like, have a cookie, have a juice, like sit down for 15 minutes, let's watch you. And they were like, no, go on your way. She's like, oh, okay. After waiting like this long. So I get there, it's pouring rain this day, pouring. And she's still in her appointment when she arrives. I probably arrived at like 11:30, which was an hour and a half after her appointment was supposed to start. So I knew that it was gonna take a while, but I really thought it'd be done after an hour and a half. So I go get there, and then when I arrive at the doctor's office, there's a ton of people there, and they're all speaking in French and waiting in line. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna bother anybody. I'm just gonna sit in the waiting room, find a chair, and just like chill out. Like I'm not gonna get in anyone's way. I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm waiting for my friend. It's good. So nobody bothers me. This woman goes around asking everybody in line like, oh, what are you here for? What are you here for? What are you here for? And I just said, I'm waiting for my friend, she's inside. In French. I had to Google it before, because I knew she was going around. I was like, how do I say that my friend is inside in French? And oh, my French teacher would be so disappointed in me, but she did tell me that French is not my thing. So she goes around, she talks to everybody, everyone else is there for an appointment. I'm waiting. She's like, okay, she's like, that's fine. So after about waiting like 20 minutes or so, everybody clears out, and it's just me waiting in the office by myself with the people working the front desk. So the woman comes back over, she's like, okay, who are you waiting for? I was like, okay, I'm waiting for Abby. She was like, all right, you can stay. I think she wanted to make sure that I wasn't just like in there hiding from the rain and had an actual reason to be in there. But I was like, if I just make myself small and don't cause any problems, they're gonna just let the American girl just stay. And they did. But yeah. So Abby comes out, and I was like, see, that's my friend. I wasn't lying. I do have a friend who's in there. Because I don't really know if, like, do people go pick up their friends from the doctor's office in France? Is that a thing? Because I feel like that's a thing in America. I don't know. But you know, I've been getting away with quite a bit as the stupid American in France. And like, I really like reviewed I reviewed like a few phrases from my high school days of French, so that I could think like, where is this, where is that, how do I get this, how do I order, all that. But the tenses are where I get messed up. So when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I feel like I don't really understand what they're saying, but I know the order in which that conversation would go. So I'm like having my own conversation, they're having their own conversation. I'm just hoping we're having the same conversation. And then they say something, I'm like, I don't think we're having the same conversation anymore. I think this went in a different direction. And then they're like, American? And I'm like, yeah. Because I can get pretty far with my just throwing out a random we and a random no. And then they ask a question that's not yes or no, and I'm like, oh yeah, you stumped me there. I don't have an answer for that one. Although most people do speak American here, and the only rude late person that I've run into was the lady who bashed me into the turnstile. Oh, and this other guy on the subway. This was yesterday. Abby and I were just getting onto the subway and just walking down the stairs, because the subways here are double-decker. On the RER, it's double-decker, and we're going downstairs and we see like there's 4 seats, but we only need 2. So we're going to like, it's 2 here and 2 here, and we're walking down the aisle. And I was going to sit at the one closest to me. I just was, and this man sprints from the other entrance and doesn't sit on the one closest to him, like throws himself in front of me as I'm like getting to this bench, and he sits at the one that's like, if there's 2 here and 2 here and I'm walking this way, he sits at the back one against the wall. So like, he really just like crossed in front of my path. He did not even go to the ones near him. He went all the way in front of me, and he goes, Oppa! And I'm like, I mean, are like literally shocked. We just like sit down at the other ones across from him, and we're just like staring at this man, and he's just staring back into our eyes like crazy. And Abby's like, and Abby texts me, she's like, do you see the eyes? I was like, I see the eyes. Yeah, he was a little weird, very aggressive. I was like, there were 4 seats there and you saw 2 girls walking down. I feel like that wasn't necessary. And I want to know if he thought that he handled that situation correctly, or if he was embarrassed, because if I were him, I would be embarrassed. It was very strange. I have no idea what was going on in his head, but I was like, I'm like, you got a seat and you were going to get a seat either way. So why was the aggression and the oopa necessary? So, interesting people. Those are the only 2 weird interactions I've had so far. I feel like I got off track with my story. I feel like I was going to Versailles. Okay, so Abby and I are going to Versailles. She fainted at the doctor's office, and then we go out to have a small, quick cafe lunch. She gets some oatmeal. I get a chai because I just ate, so I was like, I'll be fine. So we sit on the subway and we get to Versailles, and it's still pouring, and we are starving, and we are so confused because we just ate at the cafe, and I just had a breakfast before that, just had a chai, and we're starving. So we check into Versailles, we already bought our tickets, and we're like, okay, there's a cafe here. Where's the cafe? And the guard's like, oh, it's at the end of your tour. I was like, can we go there first and then do our tour? He's like, yeah, sure. So he escorts us like through like these back passageways, like around the museum and up these stairs, like with our security guard buddy, to the cafe. And we're like, oh, amazing. So we get to the cafe and they're like, there's no food being served now, just pastries. And we are starving. And we're like, okay, that's fine. So we wait for a table, we get there 3 o'clock, museum closes at 5:30. Oh no, we get there at 3:30, museum closes at 5:30. It's like, okay, we have time to grab a snack and then go do our little tour. Because I'd already been there and she'd already been there, and we just wanted to walk through, enjoy it on a rainy day, maybe take some pictures, chill with each other, and go. Like, that was our plan. So we're like, okay, let's go grab a quick snack. So we get to the cafe and it's a 20-minute wait. We didn't know it was a 20-minute wait, they just told us to stand in line. So we stand in line, we stand there for 20 minutes. And then we get seated, and it takes another 30 minutes for our food to come, I think. And we ordered 2 eclairs. They only brought us 1, which we were fine because we didn't really want the eclair. Abby got a coffee, and we said, do you have bread? Because we know it's France. There's a pile of bread hiding somewhere in that restaurant. And they were like, I don't know, we can check and we can maybe bring you bread. I was like, that would be wonderful. So she goes, she brings us bread, she brings us our eclair, and we eat and we pay, and by the time we get out of there, it is 5 o'clock. So we spent an hour and a half waiting in this restaurant. So by the time we get out of the restaurant, it is now 5 o'clock, and we're like, we have 30 minutes to get through this whole museum. And we're like, that's okay, like we can go speed walk, we'll take a few pictures, and we'll go get dinner. Still hungry, because all we have is bread and an eclair. So as we walk out of the restaurant, they're like, oh, here's the stairs. And we're like, oh, but we haven't done our tour yet, we're gonna just go back to the museum. And they're like, no, like it's time to leave. And we're like, but the museum doesn't close for another half hour. So they kicked us out. So we went all the way to Versailles, paid for our tickets to get a singular eclair and get rained on. Luckily, the 2 of us thought it was hilarious, and because we were just like, this is just like nothing to be done about it. It was just very funny and very unfortunate. So then we go to McDonald's and we get some food there. We hang out, wait for Anna to be done with her tour because she was on a college tour for one of her classes at Versailles that day too, which is part of the reason why we went. And that was it. That was our day at Versailles. On Saturday night, we went to Cafe Oz, which is a club here. It's a restaurant during the day, and then I believe it's a club at night, which I was really excited about because I've never been out at night in Europe before, because last time I came to Europe I was with my family. I was young, I was underage, and now I'm legal. It's also been COVID, so I had like no reason to do it before. And so I'm very intrigued as to like what is the nightlife here? What is the culture? And while I did have fun with my friends, and me and Abby, and then one of her guy friends here and his friend, we all went out. But never once in my life have I ever gone to a club and not been approached by a guy or a girl. Like, I don't know, like there's always guys coming up to you in America just being like, hey, like just trying to chat or whatever, like whether or not you want to talk to them or not. There's just always at least one. Or like if you're in line for the bathroom or you're in the bathroom, like girls will be like, oh my gosh, you look so cute, like how are you, like are you guys having fun? Just, it's social. People go there to talk to other people. However, in France, nobody approached anybody, at least that I saw. And I'm really not the type of a person, like I'm very friendly if you come up to me, but I'm not usually one to approach other people. I'm just an introvert in that way, I guess. But like I'm nice once you start talking to me. So it was just weird for me for nobody to come up to me and try to start a conversation. And Abby said like, oh no, that like that's just like, it's always been like that every time she's gone out, like nobody's come up to talk to her. I'm like, but isn't the point of going to a club to be social? I don't understand. So I just thought that was odd. I've been trying to try a lot of different foods here. One of the foods, because like different culture, trying to embrace it. One of the foods that I tried last week was escargot, snails. And I really only wanted to try one. But the way you order it is like you get like a dozen. And I was like, okay, they served. So the one I got was blue cheese, snails, and then it came with a baguette. So like you put the snail on the bread and then eat it, which wasn't too bad. However, they didn't taste bad. But I'm a big texture person. And they were just gooey, gummy, like oysters or any type of shellfish. It felt like that, and I don't like that texture. So like, as long as it was like mostly bread in my bite, I was like, okay, it's fine. But every now and then I get a bite of like snail, and I was like, it's gummy. So I'm glad I did it. I can say that I'm cultured because I tried it. I have no need to have them again. And they were big. They were bigger than I thought they were going to be. I also think it was good that they weren't in their shell, because I thought they were going to come in their shell and they were going to give you like a little fork to like plop them out yourself. And I really didn't want to deal with that. But these luckily were not in their shell. And I think I would have been weirded out if they were in a shell too, because I don't like lobster when it comes in lobster form. Like if you have to like break it apart and pull off their leg, no thank you. Yesterday, Abby and I went to the mosque in Paris. I think it was Moroccan, but I think it was Moroccan. And first we had lunch. We went to their restaurant. I had some lamb stew. It was very good. And then we got traditional desserts, little pastries, and that was good too. And then afterwards we went to this women's bathhouse called a hammam. And Abby was like, it's like a spa. It's kind of relaxing. Everyone, it's only women that are allowed in. Hold on, I want to focus on my eyes. So you enter and you go change. Everyone there is women, so you're just walking around in like your underwear or bathing suit bottoms. Everyone's topless. Never seen more boobs in my life. And it was interesting because nobody was self-conscious. Nobody was judging each other. Like all the women were like sitting out in these steam rooms, like bellies out. Like no one was like tucking it in, sitting pretty, like none of that. Like we were just laying around. It was amazing. So the first room you walk into is like this lounge room. So it's like it's got a big vaulted ceiling. It's got couches lying all around the center. And then there's 2 tables in the middle. And there's women getting massages on them, like titties up, like totally naked. Like they wear bottoms, but like still naked in this room full of people. And no one's like bothered by it. Everyone's just like, this is like, boobs are like an elbow in there. Like you don't look at anyone's elbow and be like, that's a weird elbow. Or like, I like their elbow. Like no one thinks about it like that, which was quite liberating and relaxing, and it felt very safe. Like just a lot of like pure feminine energy, which I don't think I've ever experienced in such a non-judgmental way before. And so that's the first room, and they serve this lovely mint tea, which is very sweet. And there was a lot of women sipping on that while they were waiting in this room for their massages or reading or chatting and just relaxing. And then the second room is the showers. So you rinse off in the showers, and then you go, there's 3 steam rooms. The first one's like warm, the second one is hot, and the third one is really hot. So like we're exploring, and at first we like walk all the way in just to like see what's in there. We get to the last room and it's like a wall of steam, and we like try to step in and it's like, no, like that is burning our faces. We cannot go in there. And they give you this soap that you're supposed to rub all over your body and leave it on for 30 minutes in the steam, and it's supposed to soften your skin. So we're like, okay. So the 2 of us are sitting there. We sit in the second hottest room because we cannot get into third. In the first one we were like, we can do more than this, so we sit in the second one, and we're rubbing each other with this soap, trying to like get our body all soft and stuff. And just like in the center of the room, like there's women all around the edges, Like it was like literally like a beach. Like women like were set up, like they had towels and they were laying there. Some were by themselves, some were there with their friends, all ages, all body types. It was wonderful. And so there's like a bunch of like little platforms around the edge of the room. There's one platform in the middle, and there's people on all the platforms around the edges and no one on the middle. So we're like, okay, we'll like take the middle. So we're putting soap on ourselves, and we're getting very hot. So I think we like use up half our soap because you're supposed to use all of it. And then we move to the less hot room because we are having a hard time breathing. And I was like, I do not want to pass out in here. So we go into that room and they're like, you're not supposed to throw water on yourself or shower until your soap sits for 30 minutes. So we're in the light steam room and we're trying to like lay on this, like it's all stone, like a bunch of stone benches, covered in soap, half naked, with other women like laying around, and we're like laying there, just like literally laying, like on our stomachs, on our backs. They give us a towel, but we're not really like, we're using the towel as a pillow. And I'm talking to Abby and we're chatting about like who knows what, and I like start to sit up and I'm like sliding off the bench slowly and I'm like holding myself there. And then all of a sudden like I lose my grip and I literally just slip off the bench and fall on the floor because I'm so slippery with all this soap. And I start laughing and the French women start laughing because it was so funny. It was literally like a beached whale, slow motion, slipping off a bench because I was so slippery. I could not sit there. And Abby and I are dying, and I like sit back on the bench, regain my composure, and oh my gosh. But like all the women there spoke French, and we're trying to like figure out this like weird culture, this weird ritual. Like we don't know what's going on, but like we're fully embracing it. So after we sit for our soap for a little minute, we're like, okay, like our next step is exfoliation. They gave us this exfoliation brush and we're supposed to go find one of the women who works there so that she can scrub us down. So I go into the next room and she's just like, scrub, like shower, you gotta go shower. But like in French. I was like, okay, like I'll wait over here because there's a bunch of showers, but there's a bunch of women in them. So I was like, okay, I'll wait till they're done with the shower and then I'll go in. And she's like, no, shower now. I was like, okay. So I'm like standing there, I was like, yeah, like I'm waiting for the shower. She pulls one of these half naked women out of the shower and shoves me in, like aggressively, like fully shoves me. And the woman in there was like, désolé, like sorry. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, like I don't know what's happening. And she's like, she needs to shower. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like washing my soap off, She's like, no, like scrub. I'm like, okay, I'll scrub. So after she gets me washed of my soap, she lays me down on another stone bench, takes her mitt and like aggressively starts scrubbing my entire body and like flinging my arms around and like flipping me over so that she can scrub. And it hurt. It was not gentle at all, but there's like layers of skin coming off. And I love gross like skin things like that, and I thought it was awesome, but oh, it was so much fun. And then after she's like, okay, go rinse again. So I rinse off all like the gross skin that came off. And I was like, I am so soft, I am so smooth. And so then we go dry off and we go wait in the other room. Abby and I, we have our tea, we sit there in the dry room, like with the circle of couches. And we wait for our massage. The woman calls us, we go upstairs, there's a second floor. So we're not gonna be on the table in the middle, but I'll have a story about that in a sec. So we go upstairs, they put us in separate rooms. She just like very relaxing. Like I've never had a massage like that. Like I've had a regular massage and I've had a deep tissue massage, but this was more just like lightly like rubbing, more like rubbing in lotion than a massage. And she like did my face, she put the oils in my hair and like rubbed my head. It was 30 minutes. Very relaxing. She was very sweet. I think all the women were like, thought we were very funny. For one, being American, two, embracing, and three, having no clue what we were doing and just getting tossed around by these women in the spa. And then after that, they're like, okay, you're all done. So we are all soaked, we're all like oiled up, and we're like, but we don't want to leave yet. So we're gonna, and we have somewhere to be in like an hour, but we're like, okay, let's go just like sit, let's attempt the last steam room again, because we really want to get the whole experience and go in every single room. So we like go back into the steam. We go all the way back to the last room. If we're standing in there, we're like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. And in the back corner, we can see this tub. So like I go over there and I like crouching under the steam, because there's like a wall of steam, but like the bottom like 3 feet of the room are not covered in steam. Like it's still really hot in there, but the steam rises. So we're like fire drill, like crawling low to the ground. I stick my hand in the pool and I'm like, Abby, it's cold. So we crawl into the pool. It's freezing cold water, really, really hot air. Like so much stuff, you stand up, like it will start burning your lips and your ears. And if you inhale, like it hurts. But like down below, it's good. So we're like in the cold water, like hot air. It's like reverse hot tub. Like if you've ever been in a hot tub in the winter where the air is freezing and the hot water's hot, it was like reverse that. So nice, so weird. We're like, this is our spot. So we hang out there for a while and we're like, half in, half out. Sometimes we stick a leg out. Sometimes we're laying on the side with like half our body in, just like slugs or like lizards just laying there. And we literally, my camera died, but we literally felt like 2 little kids like in the bathtub playing together. Like it was very healing for my inner child, because we were just like splashing around, hanging out in like the cold water and the hot air. And when we leave, we thought we'd only been in there for like maybe 2 hours, maybe 2.5. We were in there for over 4 hours. We were in there for a very long time. And we had plans after this and we were just like, we don't have time for our errands and plans. We just gotta go back. It was wonderful. When I did first get there though, we didn't know there was an order to this thing, because again, we don't speak the language. She speaks it a little bit, I don't. So they're like, massage? I was like, yeah. So they put me on the table in the middle of the room. Like this was in the main room. This was before they took me upstairs and before all of that. Like the first thing I did after I rinsed off and like got changed was they said massage, and I was like, yes, I signed up for massage. So they lay me down on one of the tables in the front main room, like totally half naked, like on my back. They don't even put you on your stomach, like on your back. And she starts rubbing me, and then she starts speaking to Abby in French about something. I'm like there with my eyes closed. I'm like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? And then another woman comes over and starts talking to them, and I like kind of peek a little bit. I'm like, because I'm like trying to relax. I'm like, should I be here? I'm like, am I in the right spot? Because like she's not telling me to get up yet. And I also don't speak their language, but like something's up. And that's when she told us like, oh, did you do the scrub yet? And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, do the scrub first and then come back. So we did mess up a little bit. I did have the experience of being the naked woman in the middle of the room. However, I don't think I've ever embraced a different culture more than I did in that afternoon. Like, did not speak the language, did not have a clue what was going on, and I was just like, whatever you want, go for it. Like, I'm signing myself up for everything and just throw me in. And they did. They literally just like tossed my body around to all these different things. The women there were very nice, even the other patrons. I was getting changed at the end and putting my dress back on, and one of the women walks by and she says something to me in French. I'm like, I'm sorry. And she's like, oh, like your tag is sticking out. And she like tucked my tag back in the back of my dress. Just very sweet things like that. So it was a wonderful experience. I'm really glad I did it. I would highly recommend that to any girls who are visiting France. I think that has been the highlight of my trip so far. And Abby had been before, so this was her second time. But the first time she went, she didn't explore the whole building. She didn't know that there was a second floor, that there was multiple steam rooms. And she still loved it. And this time she actually got the full experience. Last time she just went and got tea, got a massage, and sat in the main room and didn't do any of the back steam rooms or the exfoliation or the whole thing. So it was nice, I think, for her to have that whole experience too. She said she loved it. And if I lived here, I would go weekly, I think. And it was so inexpensive for all of that. We were there for 4 hours, exfoliated, massage, steam room, tea, hung out there for a very long time, and all of that was $80, I think, 80 euros. When like in the US, like 1 hour massage is more than $80. So extremely well worth it. I also forgot to say that while we were at that restaurant at the mosque, there was this really cute guy sitting behind Abby, and I was like, Abby, let me take a picture of you. You look so cute. And I take the picture, like angle it a little bit so that the guy's in the background. Oh, he was so pretty. He was sitting there reading a book, pouring tea by himself, and Abby's like, go talk to him. I'm like, I can't, because I'm leaving in 2 days. I wouldn't want to, that's a lot of effort. It makes me really nervous if I'm only going to be there for a little bit. Not worth it. But he was pretty. He was really pretty.